Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for October 23, 2023, the more trouble in China law. And we begin with that story from the Financial Times, as an executive at a YPP-owned agency was detained in a Shanghai raid. Listeners to this podcast will remember YPP from their FCPA imbroglio a few years back. Well, now Chinese police have raided the Shanghai offices of the YPP-owned agency in that town, Group M, questioning employees and detaining one senior executive. This is yet one more harassment of Western executives by Chinese authorities. It's becoming more difficult and more difficult, not simply to do business, but to do business without putting your own personal safety and liberty at peril. Next up from the Wall Street Journal, Risk and Compliance Journal, a new face, Ian Talley, and our good friend Mingy Sun reporting that the U.S. has targeted crypto mixers over money laundering risks. In an unprecedented action, the Treasury Department has proposed regulations requiring additional record keeping and reporting on mixer transactions. Mixer transactions are international cryptocurrency platforms, and now the U.S. believes they are primarily money laundering hubs that threaten national security. And the Treasury Department's unprecedented proposal of using laws usually deployed against foreign banks and foreign jurisdictions will require special record keeping and reporting for any financial transactions involving international mixers. More trouble for the crypto industry, that's for sure. Next up from the Associated Press, or the AP, the former Albanian Prime Minister says he is charged with corruption and money laundering in a land deal. Sali Berisha said that prosecutors have charged him with corruption and money laundering in connection with a land deal involving a Tirana property. The charges also include his son-in-law. And finally, the U.S. has jumped in on the side of Tesla in its fight with the state of Louisiana banning direct-to-consumer car sales. Forgive me for diving into the weeds a little bit, but I had to practice in this area once many, many years ago when I was an active practicing lawyer. And the prohibition of direct-to-consumer sales in the auto industry is one of the last vestiges of anti-competitive, state-sponsored anti-competitive laws that is around. So Tesla's been fighting this for years, and now the U.S. has jumped in on the side of Tesla to say consumers should be able to buy a Tesla whether they have dealerships in Louisiana or not.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.